Exactly, right? It's Friday the 13th here, yeah.
Yeah. We could, we'll give you the results on the horse races later.
Oh, very good. Yes, exactly.
Some hot stock picks coming your way, yeah.
Yes. So are you both from the States or are you from Australia?
No, we're both Aussie.
Yeah.
Both Aussie. Oh, very nice. I've had many good experiences in Australia.
Nice place.
On my YouTube channel, there's a couple of interviews with the former Deputy Prime Minister of Australia. So you might enjoy those.
Oh, John Anderson.
Yeah, John Anderson, exactly.
Yeah. I think it's great that he's gone on to do that YouTube channel.
He's
has
a
really interesting discussions on there.
Wonderful guy. So we have Henry Fraser, Allison James. Allison, what is your husband or partner's name?
Michael Hogan.
Michael.
Hi, everyone.
Glad to meet you, Allison and Michael.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you. Good to see you, Warren.
Oh, good to see you, Henry.
Yeah, running around a little bit. It's dinner time over here in California, so trying to get our 5-year-old situated. So I'll be in and out of the camera.
Yes, I'm in California also, and sometimes I feel like a 5-year-old. Michael, good to see you.
Hello.
Michael's a recent friend of about 40 years. Art,
Hey, Warren, I just wanted to let you know that my wife's going to be joining us standing up because she sits all day, stares at the computer screen, so she's going to be kind of standing around behind me.
So that's kind of unfair because people who stand up, they live longer, and so they'll be coming to our funerals. And so the alteration between standing up and sitting down is one of the healthiest things you can do for your life and for your brain. So
she's walking in now. She may have to go and get herself situated, but
don't tell her I complimented.
I thought you were going to stand.
Warren, I think you're speaking medically that standing is good for you, but I think if we learn anything from history, that people who stand up sometimes don't live longer.
Oh, is that? Yeah, touche.
They're bigger targets.
Yes. We have a different perspective.
Standing up for standing principles.
Yes, yes. Stand up and you catch the bullets. Ian, good to meet you.
Hello, my wife. I'm traveling, so Deb will join us in a moment.
Ian, say that again, please.
I'm traveling, so I'm not with my wife. Deb will join us in a moment.
Oh, wonderful. And where are you from, Ian?
Calgary, Canada.
Oh, wonderful. I like Calgary. Had some good experiences there. April, good to see you. Glad everything got worked out with the technicals. Okay, we have a number of new people that have joined us, but because we're at starting time, I'd like to introduce Ashley Winby, who's managed the course and taken me through something that is very new to me. And so this is very exciting for me, and Ashley's been a phenomenal leader, as has my assistant Carly, who's here in the office, helping me make sure I don't screw this up before we start. Just after we start, we'll screw it up for you. Ashley, would you start us?
Yes, well, thank you all so much for being here for our first session today. I just have a couple of small housekeeping things. We're going to be engaging with one another. And so in order to make sure that there's not a lot of background noise, if you could stay muted until I call on you. So there's going to be a way that we're going to do that. But if we can just stay on mute, that'll just help all of us hear everything better. And then when you want to communicate with Warren and answer a question, if you look at your Zoom window, you'll see there's the chat functionality, share screen, and there's also reactions. And that reactions button, if you click it, you can raise your hand. Okay, and Jean, you just did exactly what I wanted to. You did a thumbs up. There's a couple emojis there, but for the purpose of this call today and all of the other sessions, we want to be able to raise our hand just like I am right now, when you want to speak, okay? And that will help this conversation go really well. And then I will just call on you and I'll unmute you and then you'll go ahead and just talk. So that's good. Sean, you did a great job. So if there's any issues, you can literally raise your hand, but none of it, I don't really want you to have to just stand there and raise your hand for, you know, however long. So this is a great way to just be able to have conversations really well. I'm going to put my email in the chat. So if any of you have any technical issues or you have any questions related to accessing the course portal, you'll be able to email me. Okay, so I'm here for all of you at any point during the next 7 weeks. Okay, Warren, take it away.
Okay. First, let's practice the reactions button. If you have watched the video for this course, would you raise your hand by pressing the reactions button, selecting hand, and then go for letting me know. That way I know how much I have to review. Interesting, almost all the people who came early watched the video, and most of the people who came late did not. Okay, so I'm going to give a little bit of a overview then, so people are not completely left out if you haven't had a chance to watch the video. Because of all the technical problems and so on, it's very understandable that the video has not been watched by many people. So first of all, when you watch it will be helpful in the future to watch the video before we do our session today, so we can mostly work from questions and answers and stumbling blocks and sort of have some experimental stuff that we do based on the video. But this is all gotten together in where a lot of people have had some technical glitches. So if you had a technical glitch, please do not worry about it. A lot of us did, including myself. So that's no problem. When you and your partner are planning to do the video watching, allow yourselves about twice the amount of time that the recording is for, because you'll be asked to do some experiences with your partner during the video that I have you go on pause, and so that does not take up video time. And so you'll need extra time you'll need to reserve extra time beyond the video for that purpose. And so, as I said a minute ago, I very much encourage you to watch the video before we do each session. And so are there any questions about that? Just raise your hand if there are. Okay, great. Let's see.
Michael.
Michael, you can unmute Michael.
Yep.
Yes. So the instructions are you do course 1, and then prior to doing your session. Is that clear?
Yes. Session 1, you watch the video for it prior to our coming on the live this part of the course, the live part of the course.
And that goes for every single one, he's saying, though, too, right? So you can log into the course portal, watch the video before each class, just to clarify.
Okay. Because that wasn't completely clear. So
Okay.
I listened to it. I spoke with Ashley and it became clear.
Oh, very good. Yes. So if that wasn't clear, then let us.
To me, it was.
Yeah, no, it may have been not clear to many people did not watch the video, so it have been more universally unclear. So thank you, Michael.
So there are how many? Seven videos and 7 responses.
That's right. 7 videos, 7 responses, and there's a bonus video.
Can you give a sense of how it progresses through the 7? You may want to answer that later on, but I wanted to have a sense of the totality of the course. Now, you did that in the introduction, but it's helpful to me to review that aspect of progression.
Yes, the best answer to that question is in Ashley, where do I have the list of the description of each session?
That is on the course sales page for all of you that registered.
Okay, so you'll go to the course sales page, and there I have a synopsis of every session. However, I'm also going to go over that now, so you get some understanding of what that's about. So at the beginning of the course, I do the normal introduction, explain what the origin of the course is, and I'll spend a minute or two on that in just a moment. I go from what's different about this course, why I invented it, why I developed this course, what was that I spend my life doing things that I feel are missing in the culture. And then I experiment with whether I think I have anything to add, which I don't always have, but when I discover a solution, I work with that. So when the women's movement was surfaced, they were missing male support. I became male support. Then I began to see that boys and men were being neglected. I became focused on boys and men's issues because I felt I knew how to do that. And then when I was seeing that divorces were creating a lot of problems for boys and for men and for women and girls, I started working on a way of being able to solve that problem, because active listening was the most advanced way of working on couples communication. But what the research on active listening found was that active listening was very good for the person who was doing the criticism, but it required the person being criticized to repeat the criticism, and biologically we are not prepared to hear criticism from our loved ones without becoming defensive. And so I explained in the first video what the history and biology of that is. In brief, historically speaking, when a kinship network or another tribe was being critical of a tribe, that was a hint that they could potentially be invaded and killed. So it was functional for survival to get up your defenses, to be able to protect yourself against the enemy, or conversely to kill the enemy before the enemy killed you. And so that was wonderful for survival. It's just terrible for love. And so the question was, if it's so biologically natural for people to become defensive in response to a criticism from a loved one, is there a way around that? And so what I experimented with for a number of years is possible ways around that. And so what I discovered is that in order to be able to hear criticism from a loved one without being defensive, you have to first alter your natural biological propensity to be defensive. And so I eventually, over 30 years, found 6 mindsets that really helped when people meditated into those mindsets. And then as a result of that meditation, they felt much more secure inside of themselves. So one example of that meditation is they would say to themselves, okay, if I provide a safe environment for my partner's feelings, no matter how badly they're expressed, even if those feelings are outright lies, even if those feelings I have answers to show why they're wrong and I'm right, if I can provide nevertheless a safe environment for those feelings, my partner is going to feel safe. And if she or he feels safe, they'll feel more loved by me, more protected by me, more safe with me. They'll be able to, and therefore they will not only feel more loved by me, when I feel more love from them as a result of them being safe, it being safe for me to speak, I'll therefore feel more love for them. And so that's one of those 6 mindsets that I call the love guarantee. There are 5 others that we'll be going through practicing and working with. And so what I will be asking in this course is for everyone that when you criticize, when you get criticism from your partner, you'll have 2 options. One will be to respond to that criticism, which will almost always lead to an escalation of the back and forth that will lead to an escalation of the tension. Or alternatively, you can visualize that on the day that, on the hour or two that we have set aside for being able to hear each other, that hour or two, which is what I will call a caring and sharing time. During that hour or two, if I save my response to then, and I just say, let me save my response till caring and sharing time, where I can listen better and be heard more effectively, then I will, a lot of the course will be about what to do in that caring and sharing time. And another big chunk of the course will be what to do to keep the rest of the week a conflict-free zone. I'll be explaining the difference between a conflict-free zone and a criticism-free zone. So if Matthew there is my brother, and we have a big disagreement about the fact that our father always treated him better than me or me better than him, and I don't listen to him and he doesn't listen to me, and he gives me a criticism about how I was always a father's favorite and you know, a prima donna, and I became entitled and self-centered as a result of that. That my job will be, I will of course, under normal circumstances, be gathering up my response to that while Matthew is talking, only hearing a small percentage of what he says. But if I'm, but in the conflict-free zone, which will be 166 hours a week, during that period of time, I will teach, I'll be teaching you how to sustain that conflict-free zone. So I hear Matthew criticizing me, and I say, okay, I think I can listen better during our caring and sharing time, but I'm still angry inside of myself. So what do? I teach you how to journal. And and by journaling, I mean write out on the computer 4 stages of journaling. Stage 1 is explaining why Matthew is 100% wrong and I'm 100% right. That's what I call the self-righteous stage. And then working it down step by step until I can see, I can hear how Matthew has a point to make, and then ultimately be able to empathize with Matthew. However, I may still feel that Matthew's wrong and has always held some belief that I want to get across to him. So if that's the case, after I go through that process, that becomes a candidate for me bringing that issue up in caring and sharing time. So a lot of the course then is about working on how to sustain that, how to create the conflict-free zone, how to sustain it, and how to release just one concern per week with your partner that I'll teach your partner to hear. I'll explain why hearing more than one concern a week makes people too fearful of entering into the caring and sharing time, and so they therefore usually just tune out. So that's one dimension of the course. The other one is how to avoid what I call the 4 C's that tend to be the depleters of love. One of examples of those 4 C's are criticizing your partner. Second one is complaining. The third one is controlling your partner, and the fourth one is complacency. And those 4 C's deplete the love of almost all people. And so I'll be giving you, working with you both on that, but also working with you on how to get around that. And so other things I'll be working with you on is the art and discipline of appreciating your partner. So we usually, people will say to me, "Oh, Warren, I love your books," or "I love your workshop." Well, after you hear that a great deal, you just become desensitized to it. But when somebody says, "I love that in chapter 3 you said this, and that really related to my children, and here's what I was able to do differently," what almost always we miss in our love relationships is knowing how to develop each appreciation at 5, 6, or 7 levels of specificity that allow our partner to feel more and more seen, more and more understood. And so those are a couple of examples of of what you'll be learning in this workshop and the overview. A part of this workshop that is different from what I do when I am at Esalen or Omega Institute or other places around the country that are retreat centers, is there I have a chance to only teach you the structure and go through and have you do the experience with your partner. Here in the videos that you'll be seeing, I've had two couples that I've been working with, and they're very different in their background. And so I'm able to work through their stumbling blocks and ask their questions. They're two extremely bright couples. And as I work with them, you're able to see that work be done. But I don't have time to do that work in the normal workshop. So if you're somebody who's attended a workshop with me in the past, and in many respects, you'll get a lot out of it, more out of it than you will have in the workshop itself. And so that's a bit of an overview. Michael, I hope that was a bit helpful.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. Does anybody else have any questions before I ask for you to do anything? Okay. One of the things I was going to ask you to do is to write down 5 things you'd most like to remember from session 1. But since only a few people watched session 1, I'm going to work with you on something that I would normally work on in the second session, but it'll be an opportunity to go deeper now at the end of this process, and then also work with you on some of the 5 wisdoms or the 8 wisdoms that I share. One of the things I explain in the workshop is that while I do share what I call 8 wisdoms in the workshop, is that most workshops are insight dependent. That is, they teach you things that are really helpful to know about about life and about love. But my experience was, and the reason I modified this over the years, was that my experience was that very few people remember the insights and the wisdoms that they have when they're being criticized. That being criticized by a loved one is so powerful that it wipes away the insights. However, the insights basically serve as a foundation that you can work with and are very helpful when you're not being criticized, but they, as I said, disappear during criticism period. So let's see. Any questions before I move into that? I'm going to ask you, I know what I'd like to do next. Somebody said, I'm not a plant, I swear. The video and pre-work exercises were great. I got a lot out of the guided structure to generate content, examples, issues that are specific to myself and my relationship with my wife. So worth the time. Oh, that's very nice, Matthew. Thank you for sharing that. And notice there was some level of specificity there too, which is very, very appreciated. Okay. Because I was planning this, I'm just trying to think about what would be the most useful here for the people who have not had a chance to watch the video. Yes, let me work with you on writing down now. Get a piece of paper out, or write on the computer the following. Write down the appreciation that you gave your partner last week, during the week, all the appreciations you can think of that your partner, if you showed these appreciations to your partner, that your partner would remember you having said them or having written them, like in a card or in some other way. So So just write those down, take a minute out to do that. I'm going to ask you to raise your hand if you actually had an appreciation, and raise your hand by going to the reactions sign, and raising your hand if you had an appreciation that you shared with your partner clearly enough during this past 7 days that your partner would say, yes, I remember you doing that. I remember you sharing it verbally. I remember you sharing, or I remember you sharing it in writing. If your partner is with you now, you can test that out by showing him or her and seeing if she or he remembers it. Raise your hand if you have one by pressing into reactions and then hand raising.
Okay, go ahead, Marcus and Lourdes.
Okay.
I will unmute you. There you go.
Yes.
Hold on.
I think they're just raising their hand, Ashley, to say that they did share an appreciation.
Oh, you didn't want them to explain it? Oh, okay, sorry.
Right now, no need. Okay, so now I'm going to be asking you to write down 5 appreciations that you do actually have for your partner, but to leave 5 spaces under each appreciation. So write down 5 appreciations that you in fact do feel about your partner, but leave under each appreciation that you write down 5 spaces. And then I'll explain what to do with in a little while.
One question, Warren. I had my hand up, but I realized that we have a cleared background, so I don't know if you guys can see the hand raised.
Oh, yes, I did. I don't know if actually, I don't have view of all the people at the same time. Ashley, did you see Henry's hand raised? And I think, Henry, what the issue was that I said to Ashley that I just wanted you to raise your hand if you did. At this point in time, I didn't need to have you actually say anything. But if you had something that you wanted to say, that's fine. Do you, Henry?
Oh, no, I was going to answer the question to the appreciation that you asked, but we can go to the this next exercise.
Good, good. And this will be very much related to that because I'll be asking you to do something with those appreciations that is more specific.
Thank you.
I'll give you about another 90 seconds to write down 5 appreciations that you do in fact feel for your partner, even though you didn't share any of those during the last week. And someone has written me in the chat that they need a little bit more time. So I'm going to allow another couple of minutes beyond what I originally said. Now I'll ask you to go to the reactions sign and put up your hand, but only if you need still more time. And if you do, no problem. Okay, I think we're clear. Okay, so what I'm going to be asking you to do is to, from this point on in your life, this is called the art and discipline of love. I'm going to be asking you to work on the discipline of when you give an appreciation to your partner, that you become more and more specific with it. So for example, if you say to your partner, oh, you're really a good cook, that's a general appreciation. But if you say, I really appreciated the way you cooked the turkey, that's level 1 of specificity. If you move and say, I love the way that the way you cooked the skin was so crispy. And the crispiness of the skin and the mentioning of the skin per se allows your partner to increasingly see that what you appreciated about what she or he did. And then I love the way you made the dressing. So the dressing is another level of specificity, and then saying the dressing was so moist and yet not sloppily moist. And then saying, I love the herbs that you put in that dressing, the parsley, the sage, the rosemary, the thyme, the oregano, or maybe I should have stopped with Simon and Garfunkel there. So mentioning that the herbs and saying, and then integrate curiosity with that. Was that parsley, sage, rosemary, thyme, oregano that you put in there? So you're guessing, but in the guessing, you're showing a curiosity and an interest in what they were doing and an observation of some level of what they're doing. And so that is an example of taking your appreciation to deeper and deeper levels of specificity. Now, it is not easy to do that. That is why the course is called the Art and Discipline of Love. Basically, part of what the course is about is understanding that falling in love is biologically natural. Sustaining love is biologically unnatural. For millions of years, we just became role mates to each other. And now is a chance to sustain love by learning arts and disciplines that we practice. So Liz and I, my wife and I, we try to practice about once a week, Wednesday night usually, where we set aside a time to share appreciations with each other. So the discipline involves setting aside that time and doing it every week. And if we do have a busy Wednesday night or are both exhausted, making sure that on Wednesday night, we at least take a time and put it off and say, okay, we'll do it on Saturday night. We're not going out, we're not having company, or we do it over dinner out on Saturday night, or whatever night that we go out. And so the discipline is the development of a routine that you repeat over and over again, something that is positive. Part of that now is the levels of appreciation. So I'm going to be asking you to do what I just did with at least the first appreciation with your partner, or look over the list of 5 and choose one that you feel that you can be more specific about. So do that right now. Look over your 5 appreciations and choose one that you think you can develop successfully by being more and more specific about it. I love the turkey. I love the skin. I love the crispiness. I love the dressing. I love the moistness. I love the herbs. What herbs were they? And if you can develop not only specific appreciations, but also take it to the level of being curious about what they were doing, that's a nice added benefit. I'll develop this in greater detail in session 2 or 3, but right now just try doing this with yourself, with each other right now. So choose, look over the 5 you did, choose one that is that you think you can develop with greater levels of specificity. Use the 5 lines that the 5 spaces that I asked you to do under each workshop, and try to develop, write down 5 levels of specificity that I'll be asking you in a few minutes to share with your partner at that level of specificity. So be sure to work hard on it. And I'll also ask you to speak up, raise your hand and speak up and share some of what you did for your partner with the group, so other people can be inspired by that. So do not verbally share these yet. Just write these down first, and I'll give you a chance to verbally share them in a minute or so.
What were the 5 levels again?
You will make them up, but an example of the 5 levels was not just saying you're a great cook, but I love the way you cook, especially turkeys or whatever you love, lasagna or whatever it is that you love the way that your partner cooks. And then number 2, I love the way you put a mixture of cheeses on that lasagna. And what type of cheeses are those? Is that mozzarella? Was that blue cheese? And I love the way that the proportion of the cheeses that you put on that. You seem to always have the right tendency to put the right balance between the blue cheese and the Parmesan cheese. I love the way that you hold on, that you put in the types of spices you put in. You seem to put in the real the chili, the garlic chili with just the right amount, and you put it in something else. So those would be examples of that, Henry. I'm going to give about one more moment to do that. If you are at a physical distance from your partner, I'll be asking you to either you could either call your partner or do something, text your partner the levels of experience, and so you could start that texting now if you wish. If you're physically close to your partner, just wait another minute, and I will give you the signal to share verbally with your partner. Okay, I'm going to ask you to start with either one of you being the first to share, the other one just sitting back, enjoying and listening. And then I'll give you, don't both of you share yet, I'll give you a signal to reverse it and have the second person share. So ready, get set, one of you share with the other the appreciation that you've developed with 5 levels of specificity. I'll now ask you to reverse and to share with your partner your as many levels of specificity as you were able to develop. Ready, go. Ready, hold. I will ask you to raise your hand, and a few of you share either your appreciations at the specific level, or even better yet, share your partner's appreciations with your group as a way of bragging on your partner and letting your partner know how much you appreciate it the way they appreciate it. Is that Diane?
Diane.
Diane, and then Michael, I'll ask you to both share with each other.
So you want me to share what I shared with Michael?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I told Michael what an excellent exerciser he is. He is consistent. He does it absolutely. He does something every day. He does it in moderation, and he does it with great variety. And so that really supports one of his other tremendous qualities, which is applying learning. So he's read a lot about exercise and he actually applies it. And so my curiosity is, how does he maintain the motivation even when he's tired? It doesn't feel like it, because it happens to all of us. So I didn't know when I said that whether he should chime in or not. So I just continued and I said, he really inspires me to be my best at exercising, and we both share the results of his exercise, which is his buff physique.
Wonderful example, Diane. That is really great. Let's all give her a round of applause. I don't know if there's any applause thing, but that's really fantastic. And did you see how, as Diane spoke, that as she expressed curiosity, you could feel that there was something even more of an appreciation with her expression of curiosity about how does he manage to maintain that discipline? Like, you could feel how impressed she was. And so it added a level of genuineness, magnification of the appreciation. And I imagine made Michael feel really good. Is that accurate, Michael? Michael, why don't we reverse that and ask you to share your appreciation with Diane?
Well, I mean, I feel embarrassed when she said buff body, but anyway, to show you how much I appreciate her, I was discussing how she manages to make food, and we're talking about all this exercise requires some food. So she has a way of making gourmet food that's also healthy. And I'll take an example. She made a lentil salad that people go for seconds and thirds on. That's just our first course.
Michael, I'm sorry, hold for 1 second and word this as you. So just speak to Diane directly.
Okay.
Not she.
Okay. You don't want me to use the third person. Okay. So yeah, absolutely. So you make, that's harder, by the way. You make just the most luscious food that is also healthy, and I'm amazed. For example, your lentil salad, I go back, which is crunchy and smooth and tangy, and raises my appreciation. How do you get it so balanced? Really?
So at this point, I mean, are we supposed to have that conversation, or you're just expressing a curiosity?
No, just but it's a conversation to have later. But at this moment, just having him go through it and
carry on.
That'd be a magnified appreciation.
Yeah.
Now I have difficulty speaking directly to her that way. It's so forthright somehow. I'm expecting that she's not going to appreciate it somehow.
Okay, let's work on that for a moment. Diane, do you appreciate being spoken to directly, or do you appreciate more being spoken to as she does?
Oh, directly. Yeah.
So for you, Michael, part of the art and discipline, part of the discipline of love would be you're hearing that Diane prefers the personal. And so now you're disciplining yourself to do something that's out of your normal comfort zone, because you're a highly educated person who, you know, the more abstract comes very easily to you. And so your work here is to be personal. So continue saying it personally.
Yes. And so give me a second portion, would you please?
Absolutely.
Very good. Thank you, Michael.
It did come easier.
Oh, good. Very good. Yeah. And, you know, and I know, Michael, you do work on studying. Michael and Diane, you've been together now a half century. Is that correct?
It's going to be 51 years on June 16th, which is one of our classes.
Oh my goodness. Well, that'll be a wonderful class to celebrate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, Liz and I have been together only 28 years, but we met 28 years ago today at about this time. I invited her over for dinner at 6 o'clock Pacific time. I opened the door and saw the woman who would become my wife, and I felt it almost immediately.
Wow.
We had some challenging periods of time before we got together. Without the couples course, we never would have gotten together. But it's so it's, as I said, 28 years, almost exactly to the hour. So wonderful job. You two did a really great job. So
thank you.
And here, very good. Someone else, please raise your hand, and Ashley,
Sean.
if you see a hand raised, please call on them.
Yes, Sean, go ahead and unmute yourself, and you guys can do this exercise together.
Okay. We have a 16-month-old boy, so he's pretty young still. And I wrote about, I appreciate that you put Emmett to bed each night, is how I started. And I said that I love that you read him stories. I love that you get delighted by him when he points at things in the book and you say, yes, it's the lady beetle. That's the bee. That's right. I love that you cradle him in your arms so he feels safe. I love that you pat him gently and stroke him to help him get to sleep. And I love that you sing to him as he falls asleep. Those are the 5 things. And I'm curious about how you are such a natural caregiver.
Wonderful. Because I challenged Michael, and I want to be fair, I want to challenge you to look over each of the things you just said and see if you can develop any of them a little bit even more specifically. So see if there's any potent possibility in that for that.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'd say, well, how did you get the idea that he could develop his recognition skills, like pointing to objects like butterflies and lady beetles and so on, and getting him to point. How did you have the idea that that was something he might like to do? Because it's really cool. And I'm amazed he's getting all these new abilities all the time. And I feel like I might have missed him developing those abilities because I wouldn't have even thought to like go through that exercise with him.
You wouldn't have missed it. No, you wouldn't have missed it.
That's one bit of specificity. Yeah.
That's really, yeah, it's a hard word to say. Yes, beautiful. Anything, take a look at the stories themselves, maybe anything about the selection of stories or the that you want to work with.
He picks his own stories.
Oh, good. So very good. Work with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you go for it, Sean?
How do you know that one of the stories is his favorite and that he wants to read that one?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. You don't have to answer that right now, but for a future discussion, that would be a wonderful thing to actually pursue in real life. But for this part of the exercise, the curiosity, just see how with Diane and with Sean, did you feel, Sean, your partner's name is Amy, is it?
Amy, yeah.
Annie or Amy?
Amy, AMY.
AMY, great. Amy, when he asked those questions, did it make you feel even more appreciated?
It really did, yes. Yeah, it was lovely. It was lovely to hear.
Thank you. Amy, I'll ask you to do the same with Sean.
Okay. Well, I appreciate when Sean picks up, I appreciate it when you pick up the housework that I just don't get a chance to do, especially the washing up, which can take a really long time after a long day of work. I love that you've worked really hard at not leaving anything with dirty spots, so everything's actually like properly clean and looks lovely. And I love that you've learned which items can go into the dishwasher and which ones can't. And how I also wanted to know, how have you become so quick and productive with it all? Like it's like you're on a production line. It's just fantastic. I really envy that. And I would love some tips. And I love that you have become really great at washing the bottle nipples because they are super clean and never have any milk residue on them. And I think that's awesome.
Beautiful. Dig deeper into the production line. What is there about what he does on the production, creating that production line that you so appreciate, or that you so appreciate?
Yeah, well, that's the big question though, isn't it? Because I don't know, how does he do that? I think, yeah, so I think you listen to a podcast while you do it. And I think that I think that you sort of sort everything beforehand. I would like to know how you sort things and make sure that everything goes smoothly and gets put into the rack in the right way, so it's not all teetering like I do it. Yeah, you just make everything so neat and so easy to put it away afterwards. I really like that.
Did that, digging into deeper specificity, did that make you feel even more understood about the production line, Sean?
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah, it means I now know for sure that it's all noticed, which is great. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And when you notice that when it's all noticed, you feel noticed.
Yep.
You feel seen. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's really great. Some of you got a letter. Oh, you all got an email from me which talked about my asking the question at the beginning of the email about imagine somebody there's two people together and one of them says, who doesn't earn any money, has not saved any money, says that they're not going to want to work for the rest of their life, and they would like to have you pay for all the meals, all the rent, all the mortgage, you cook the meals, you clean up after the meals, You're doing all these things like cleaning up after them, paying for the food, etc. And you don't expect any of that to change. And, you know, would you be interested in, you know, partnering with a person like that? And most people say, you know, no way. And yet many people have dogs that they just totally treasure, who you have to clean up after, who don't pay rent, who don't have any money in the bank, do not expect to work, and so on. And, you know, and then, so some people say, well, you know, there's, you know, well, the dog shows me unconditional love. Hint, but actually the love isn't really unconditional. I've just mentioned a whole bunch of conditions that are implied in that. You cook for the dog, you clean up after the dog, you pay for the dog, you pay the rent, et cetera, et cetera. And so what happens with the dog that you can treasure the dog so much? And one of the things is that the dog is always looking at you with eyes of endless possibilities, of appreciation, of and when you walk in through the door, oftentimes the dog will rush up to you as if you're really so special to him and you're making his life. So our need to be appreciated is very much satisfied by a dog. And in exchange, and because we are so in need of that, we do all of these things and think of it as unconditional love and are so willing to do it and consider that dog absolutely, totally precious. And so it really is just an indicator of how much we all need to be seen, loved, and appreciated, and how deeply that goes. Another couple that has done this is a very inspiring type of thing to hear, and I'll take it to one more level of depth and before we move on. Anybody else?
Hey, Warren, really quick. I'm realizing you guys probably can't see my hand raised because it's a different hand color and my window is behind us.
Well, if you go into the reactions and then click on the
hand raised, and then it'll show up for all of us.
That'll show up with
it is, you see it? It's like on the left corner of my screen, but it's not.
Oh, it's so hard. It is so hard to see.
It's a brown hand.
I'm sorry, it is hard to see, but
see my brown
yeah, let me see if I can change my hand color.
That's funny.
And of course, the raised hand function only has a white hand, of course. And
yeah.
Well, no, I think you can go down the right hand corner skin
you
tone.
can change it actually, where that's what's
okay. Is that
just
better?
Do it yellow. Yeah.
Oh, good to hear.
Like, how do we make a biracial hand?
Yes, exactly. Great. Oh yeah, now I do see the hand very clearly. So
sorry.
Very good. No problem at all. Nothing. Yeah. First of all, what I really, what we're all preparing ourselves for is to hear anyone's perspective on anything. And so this is just a good.
I'm going to share my 5 appreciation
Absolutely.
levels. Can we go?
Yes, go for it.
Okay. And I love Diane and her husbands, by the way.
Oh my God, you guys are the cutest
awesome.
thing ever. Like, can we adopt you, please? I love you guys.
Awesome. I just said, Sarah, I love how you take care of our family by keeping us healthy. I also appreciate being fed, and I really appreciate you subscribing to HelloFresh. I know it costs a lot of money to do that, and you do it anyway. So I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate how you take the time each week to figure out what the meals are going to be for the next week, because every time we cook them, they're all delicious. So I appreciate that as well. And my curiosity was, which one of the meals that we've eaten so far has been your favorite one?
Great. Wonderful, Henry. Now let's go back over that and dig deep on the healthy concept. What do you notice is healthy? What do you appreciate that's both healthy and tasty? So dig deep into that one. And Henry, your partner's name is what?
Sarah.
Sarah, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So so can you go for that?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, we both have been really, more conscious about our health.
No,
And
don't, make sure it's very personal, right?
So I've been really conscious about my health. I've been working out more daily, more consistently, and I love that you always put fresh vegetables in there. It seems like we have a well-rounded meal. It's not just piece by piece, but it's a full meal, and I really appreciate that. And you pick new things, and you like how I like variety. We don't just have the same meat. Sometimes it's pork, sometimes it's chicken, sometimes it's things that we never have tried before. So I really appreciate the variety and you doing that for us.
Terrific. Wonderful. Now take it, Henry, to one more level of specificity with which vegetables are you especially appreciative of? And number two, how does she cook them that you like so much?
So I'm really appreciative of every time there's a pepper in there. Like today we have poblano peppers in there. And I like the spicy stuff because I never really buy peppers when I go and I grocery shop. And I like how you always seem to have the perfect amount of crispiness to the vegetables. Like they're cooked well, but they're not too flimsy and soggy like how mine are sometimes. So I really appreciate that. You taking your time and cooking it right.
Terrific. Sarah, as he got into the type of vegetables and the crispiness and the spiciness and so on, did you feel even more seen than the word healthy allowed you to feel seen?
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. I'm more, I sent a question before this. I'm more of like a action person than words. So for me, it's very easy to be like, thank you for cooking dinner versus like, if I'm cooking dinner 7 nights a week, but I work full time, I feel like a maid. So more is like, I want an equal partner in cooking dinner with me. It's nice to be like, I appreciate you for cooking dinner, but we both work full time. So I want my partner, I want my husband to split cooking dinner with me. That's what would make me feel appreciated and not like a maid, is you help me cook the dinners, is the action behind it. You know what I mean?
I absolutely do. So let's work with this for a moment. So while you are being appreciated, and this goes for every couple, and this would come up one way or the other. While you are being appreciated, I will ask you to totally be absorbing the appreciation. And if at any point in time you're saying to yourself, but I'd like it even more if he would share that actions speak louder than words, that's something that I'll be asking you to bring up in caring and sharing.
Yeah.
Because that's something that he might experience as a criticism, which is perfectly fine. Well,
yes,
we want to have criticisms shared, but we want to have them shared in a way that Henry is really able to see that as he hears that criticism, that'll be a deepening of the love. And then we'll have this appreciation part. Don't dilute it in your mind's eye. Take it all in. Sarah, you deserve it.
Yeah.
And then
I definitely struggle with that, like you said, as far as the like, just take it in and take it as it is and not think of like the further appreciation step or whatever, however you want to phrase it. I think that's definitely something that I personally struggle with, is just take the appreciation and shut up sometimes.
Well, and instead of shut up, which is the discipline yourself, sort of like just it's like having a massage and thinking it would be better if I had this massage every day rather than just once every week or just on my birthday. And so you don't want to be taking the appreciations that you're getting and diluting it by what could be even better than this.
Yeah.
Okay. But that said, you will have the caring and sharing time to bring up that for you, action speaks louder than words. And here is what would be really an action that can happen that would really be wonderful. Now we're going to take this also in the course to a third level. The second level is the action and the complaint. But the third level is, let's say, Henry hears that beautifully and is able to sort of say how it must feel to you and stuff like that. But a week later, nothing is done about it. Then we're going to move to a third type of exercise that I should have really mentioned when Michael Reese asked about how would you the whole view of the course. One of the things we'll be doing in the course toward the end sessions is taking those things that your partner felt you did appreciate you about and did completely hear you and your need for that, but where something needs to be actually done beyond appreciation. So in this case, it might be, how do we work out a situation where we can do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for me, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for you, eat out Sunday, or something along those lines. And then if that runs into complications, how do we work that out with Henry's schedule? And what is he doing that maybe for you that you don't realize or aren't appreciating? And so beyond the appreciation, we'll be working out concrete ways of changing behavior.
Okay.
So this is like the three major levels of that. Sarah, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I think that that's something that I have a hard time with, is kind of holding it until the appropriate time without feeling like I'm bottling it up. Right. Yeah. Because like you said, it's like, I want to be tactful and respectful and appropriate about how I bring up issues to my husband so that it's not like destructive. But I also want to feel like I don't have to play chess to communicate with my husband, because sometimes I feel like I have to play chess and it's like, oh, I have to say it this way or that way. And I'm like, it's exhausting. I'm like, I'm emotional. I'm a woman. I just want to communicate and say things how I feel them. But I do have to take, a step back and like, listen, I can't be full woman mode, emotional, whatever. I still have to speak from a constructive perspective and not be disrespectful or rude, but I can still say what I have to say without being aggressive.
Good. So one of the things we'll be doing in this course is that you will ultimately be able to say what you feel exactly the way you would like to.
Yeah.
However, you won't say it exactly the way you would normally say it, because before you say something, Henry will be moving into a state of really being able to hear you. And so you won't need to sort of like become too upset because, yeah, exactly. There we go. Thank you for the visual there. Right? You won't need to move to that level because you're going to be seeing some guy, your husband or partner, who is just really getting ready to hear you and is prepared to hear you. So that'll be number one. Number two, you'll know that right then and there, when you're feeling those feelings, I'll be teaching you how to do the sustaining of the conflict-free zone. And I mentioned a little hint of that before. I'll be working with you on how to get out that anger, to write down on the computer, what a jerk he is. He never pays attention to me. He's nothing but, a person who expects me to be this maid. And you write down something that is all the anger you have, all the upsetness you have, and anything that is you 100% right, him 100% wrong. And then having done that, which is very important to do, and repressing it is not so healthy, as we all know. That builds up the volcano that ultimately turns into either passive aggressiveness, sexual withdrawal, emotional withdrawal, or physical violence. And so then having done that and gotten that out of your system on the computer in the first stage of journaling, I'll have you move into a second chain of journaling, like, what might Henry say about this? What is his perspective on it? Just one little thing about his perspective, and then let me do more of his perspective, and then let me look at it and make believe I am Henry and I'm speaking. How would that feel from that perspective? And then again, as I mentioned before, if it survives as an issue, that process, then make sure you bring it up and speak your piece about it, but only after Henry is fully prepared to alter his natural biological state of defensiveness.
Yeah, I was journaling past that point of like, Henry's an asshole, but I wasn't going past the like, okay, well, like, what's his perspective? What am I contributing? So I think that that's kind of the spot that I got stuck with, is like, okay, I'm writing in my cell phone, like, why is he irritating me? But I'm not going past that further step, which I just get stuck in like, oh, he's making me mad. Excuse me, let me go take care of my son real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that it's crazy how accurate it is, because in the pre-read you were talking about getting defensive, pointing out inaccuracies. And the moment Sarah started answering, the first thing I thought was, wait a minute, she said 7 days a week. Like, I literally just cooked tonight. And I immediately got defensive. And I'm like, I can see how that can turn into an argument just from me showing appreciation and not being able to be in the right state. So I'm eager to learn how to do that.
Absolutely. That's a really wonderful example of, how we could have transformed an appreciation into an argument and how dysfunctional that would be. Very good. So I'm going to wait until Sarah comes back and ask Sarah to share her appreciation with you at levels of specificity. And then we'll, but in the meantime, I think we'll move on to something else. If another couple has, oh, there we go, Sarah.
Sorry.
No problem.
Had to take care of baby duty real quick. Okay. So
I love the how you stuck his mouth with that big rag, so he couldn't cry. Go ahead.
Okay, so the 5 level of compliments. So I started with hanging up the lights in our son's room. I recently bought some lights in our.
Give this right to Henry.
Oh,
remember.
Thank you for hanging up the lights in Henry's room. I really appreciate it. And then I put, I appreciate how detailed and accurate you were with hanging up the lights. And I put, the lights look really good in Henry's room. They make the room look better. And then I put, I appreciate you helping decorating Henry's room. It wouldn't look as good without you. And I put, you make the decorating the house nice possible. And I couldn't do it without you. Like what gives you the motivation on the weekends to help me hang stuff up in the house.
Very nice. Work with, Sarah, to be even more specific, work with the detailed and accurate. What is there about what is there about the details that you appreciate, and what is there about the accuracy that you appreciate?
Okay. I appreciate how like even the shelves were as far as like relation to the other shelves. Like I appreciate that you took the time to like measure them out and make sure that they were level and even with the other shelves, and they were situated properly in the room. I appreciate that you took the time to do that, because I know it takes extra time to do that than just, nailing a hole in the wall, that you got to measure it out and make sure that you do it properly. So I appreciate the extra care and effort that you put into doing that.
Wonderful. Very nice. Beautiful, beautiful work. Before we move on, anybody have any other questions or comments, or have such a phenomenal appreciation you cannot resist giving it? Okay. And then also, I'm going to share in a few moments a couple of the wisdoms just to take with you as a foundation. But before I do, anyone who did see the first video that has questions or stumbling blocks that that you'd like to ask about before we move on? Ashley, do you see any hands raised that I'm missing?
No, I don't.
Okay, very good. Okay, I'll share a couple of the wisdoms that I think that that are fun to work with, and you'll be hearing those in the first session. One is that anger is vulnerability's mask. Anger is vulnerability's mask. I'll begin to work with you during this course on something so fundamental that almost always when you see somebody who's angry, if you in your mind's eye ask, what is the vulnerability that they're feeling that is making them angry? So for example, if you're out on a first date and and you really feel you hit it off with your partner, the person who was your first date, and they never call you back, you might say, or never call or respond to a call, you might say, what a jerk. But if you'd say what a jerk because it hurts less to be rejected by a jerk than it does to be rejected by somebody you love. And so you were beginning to get angry at this person not calling you back and you use words like a jerk because it's easier to be angry. It's when you're hurt, it's easier to be, it hurts less to be rejected by an object than it does to be rejected by a full human being, or by a person who just, you're saying to yourself, that person was so good, clearly they're out of my league. It's easier to call them a jerk because it hurts less to be rejected by a jerk that you don't really care about being accepted by. And so the jerk is a reflection of anger that you feel toward that person, but it's an anger that comes from your vulnerability about feeling rejected. And I'll be asking and working with you during this workshop to see that almost every time our partner is angry, that we oftentimes respond to that anger with fear, with tightening up inside, with building up a defense, with raising our voice, with finding out something that they said that's not accurate, distorting, or if they were very accurate, distorting something that they said and arguing with this distortion. But if we start instead by translating almost everything that is anger, raised voices, threats, exaggerations with an angry voice, and you ask yourself, what's the vulnerability there? And you just translate the anger into, this person is vulnerable, that's why they're angry. It's a wonderful starting place to begin to be able to hear your partner's hurt, pain, and anger. Number 2 on the wisdoms thing, and then I'll leave the other wisdoms to when you see the workshop and the explanation of the first session and the explanation of that, is that we almost very frequently we fall in love with somebody who is something that we need in our life. So somebody who's a very spiritual person, who's very spontaneous, will often fall in love with somebody who's like an engineer or a banker, or somebody who is very steady and produces steady income. Conversely, the person producing steady income often, and the engineer, that banker, that financier, that person oftentimes feels like they sense that something is missing in her or his life, with all their focus on work and earning money. And they're doing that, 50, 60 hours a week. And they are looking for somebody who has a spontaneous and spiritual side and a very sort of loving, caring side. And then they get into a relationship, and the person who's very spiritual starts being critical over and over again of the person who is very disciplined and very financially oriented and so on. The person who's very financially oriented feels that the person who's very spiritual and and goes to all the workshops and learns all these advanced methods of mindfulness is really, if she or he didn't do all of that and put all the time into something artistic that didn't make any money, that it wouldn't put so much pressure on the money maker to keep earning money. And so one of the things we'll be looking at is that so frequently the selection of our partner is the selection that we've made that selection unconsciously because we needed that balance in our life. We needed something that we were missing. But then what we were missing becomes exactly what we end up, and what we selected our partner for becomes exactly what we end up criticizing. And so when we look in the mirror and ask ourselves the question, what did we value about our partner that led us to selecting this person as our partner? And understanding that the selection of our long-term partner is the single biggest statement of what we value, what we need, what we're missing. And that takes a lot of the blame off of our partner and allows us to look in the mirror first and take responsibility first. So those are just a couple of thoughts about that. Now, I would like you to write down on a piece of, any questions about that before we move on?
Warren, I just wanted to let you know we've got 10 minutes.
Yes, good, very good. So to end with, I'd like to ask you to write down on a piece of paper, a new piece of paper, or the computer, whatever is more convenient. What made you fall in love with your partner? What separated her or him out from all your other options? Great. I hope you've had enough time to do that. Now, though, I'm going to ask you to look at that and take that to 5 levels of specificity. Dig deeper into what you saw, what you felt, what the vibe was. So just write those things down. And after this session is over, I'll be asking you to share that with your partner. One of the reasons I ask you to write things down is so you have these notes as a inspiration and able to read them again and just appreciate, in this case, what you appreciate about your partner, what made you fall in love with your partner initially. Would someone like to share, raise your hand to share with the group what led you to fall in love with your partner? What made you what separated your partner out from other people that you had a chance to date or be with or saw?
I'll go, Warren.
Go for it, yes. And you're going to be, Ashley is going to be getting married actually on my birthday. So
Yes, I am. June 26th.
All right, it's wonderful.
So I got to say, this is a good thing because I haven't written my vows yet. So I feel like this is like really totally helping me right now. So this is some of the top reasons why I fell in love with Charlie. His ability to always make me laugh and smile. His ability to calm me down when I am stressed out and have anxiety. His genuine care for everyone he ever meets. His commitment to me from the very beginning. I never had to second guess his love. The way he tries to make life easier every day for me. And then the level of specificity is by cooking me breakfast, buy me a bottle of wine, taking our dog to the park when my foot hurts.
Great. Elaborate more, Ashley, on the caring, how to other people and to you. What are some of the ways that caring manifests that you notice and appreciate?
He is just such a genuine, loving person that it's like everyone loves Charlie. You know, he's just, there's not a mean bone in his body. You know, he's just like the nicest, most genuine person. And it comes out in, you know, the relationships that he builds, and he's a bartender. So just the like camaraderie he has with, you know, patrons. And then for me, of just knowing, I knew like right away how he felt about me. There was never, you know, as I mentioned, like second guessing that. And that's through how he shows me that he cares for me.
Explain, share more about how does he show you that?
Well, he cooks me breakfast every single morning.
All right.
That's why I feel very lucky to have that. He also tells me he loves me every day. He's genuinely interested in my work and my clients and how my day is going to go. Just always being attentive, like pretty consistently. And we've been together 6 years, just so everyone knows that. So it's, you know, we've been together for a longer amount of time, and it's still very consistent.
Very good. Very good. Anything else on the way he connects with you that's different from the way other men have in the past connected with you?
He's just so genuine. Like I think the biggest thing is he's just so nice. He's just so nice. I've barely seen him angry in 6 years. You know, he's so understanding and so opposite of me in a lot of ways, honestly. Like we have very, very different personalities. He's very patient and sensitive, and you know, I'm more high strung. I mean, I shared this with you, Warren, when we first started working together. You know, I'm detail oriented and I'm kind of always moving and grooving, and he's just so mellow. He's just very mellow. And I think that though we complement each other so much because of that.
Very good.
Wonderful. So thank you.
So, absolutely. And as you're working your vows, just keep digging in. What are the manifestations of genuineness? A person who never gets angry can sometimes be not genuine. How do you feel that he's actually very genuine about this? And you know, what do you notice about that about him in relation to you, in relation to did he have children from a former marriage?
No.
Okay. In relation to his other maybe family members or other people that he cares about in his caring circle?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I wasn't planning on sharing, but that was great.
Oh, wonderful. I'm glad you did. Thank you very much. It's been wonderful to be with you. Oh, wait a minute. Before we go, I've got to ask Matthew. Matthew just shared a phenomenal chat. Matthew, would you mind just honoring us with ending the session by sharing this with your partner so we can hear that? Matthew, is that okay? Is Matthew here?
He was, but I think he had to leave.
He had to leave. Just love him and leave him. Nope, there's Matthew is here.
Oh.
Matthew?
Oh, he's coming back on.
Oh, he's coming back. Oh, great.
I think.
Matthew,
There he is.
Your appreciation that you shared in your chat is your partner within. Matthew? Yes, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I my internet just dropped out in the last 30 seconds. So I got kicked off and just joined back in. So I missed what you were just calling out, but I heard you mention my name.
We were doing an analysis of internets that fail because they're appreciated too much, but it couldn't handle the appreciation. No, seriously, I read your appreciation in your chat, and I wanted to ask you if you would be good enough to end our session by sharing that ideally with your partner now, because it was just so wonderfully done.
Oh, well, thank you. Unfortunately, my life partner of 22 years is on a delayed airplane flight right now. She was hoping to be joining us from California. I'm in Michigan, but she's stuck on a plane right now, contrary to our best plans. So I did text this to her on WhatsApp, which she's able to get on the airplane, and she has responded affirmatively. So I've shared this with her virtually, and I mean, I could read it out loud, but I've shared it with her.
A wonderful way of ending the session, because you were very specific and very loving, and I think it's just a great example of appreciations at their absolute best.
Okay, well, to my loving life partner Nicole, I am so appreciative of the way you express sensuality in our relationship. Your balance of planfulness and spontaneity, from the gauging of interest and planfully showering to surprising me in the bedroom, at the door, or reaching under the table. I'm grateful for how you've balanced initiating based on your own wants, but also still being responsive to my overtures. I love the aesthetic way you create a multi-sensory experience, appealing to sight with the dim romantic lighting and a turned down inviting bed, smells, the candles that you light of my favorite scents, the sounds when you put on one of my favorite playlists, touch, I like smooth textures, and more about silk than bumpy lace, and the sensation of massage oils when we give each other foot rubs is really grounding for me to feel you be so present and expressive in the act of our lovemaking, but also afterwards, when you have your words of affirmation and are reflecting on how good that part of our connection is, how sometimes that's like a linchpin in our getting through rough times. And I've always wondered how you know when I'm in the mood or when I can be put into it, because it's not always. And how you decide whether you're going to be the bait or whether you're going to be the huntress.
So terrific. Thank you. That was absolutely beautiful, Matthew. Observe and hear how Matthew could have said, I love that how multi-sensory you are. But instead of just saying how multi-sensory you are, he worked on what all those senses were: the touch, the smell, the feel, each of the things that were manifestations of that multi-sensoriness. And so that's what I mean by digging down into each appreciation, everything you say. As I was talking to Ashley about what makes her, Charlie, genuine, and just take it apart, dig into it, and appreciate at that deeper level of that deepest level of specificity that you can. So thank you so much for all being with me tonight. It's been a joy. Ashley will have a recording of this so you can review it anytime you wish. The next time, for the next session, be sure to review session 1 and session 2. If you didn't review session 1, make sure you allow twice as much time as the recording time is to be able to do the exercises with your partner. The exercises are very important. In normal workshops, I don't even allow people to attend who are only coming to listen. They always have to be with their partner and do those exercises with their partner, because that's what really makes the workshop worthwhile. Have a wonderful evening. I'll look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye all.